Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Michaela and today I am going to be doing 10 series that BookTok has not romanticized yet. For those of you who don't know, I am a Booktube crone. I've had this account since 2014. I have dipped out a couple of times, but I have seen some serious shit in the book community. And a lot of these series are ones that you probably you've heard of, but they're just not everywhere on BookTok. Like, I'm talking when I walk into my local bookstore now, I just see nothing but Colleen Hoover's backlist, like We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. Like, who the fuck let that thing come back? Got a couple of series that are really nostalgic, and definitely if you have been around BookTube for a long time, you will recognize these ones as well. It might even inspire you to do a reread, or maybe you haven't heard of them and you want to read them and make some fucking TikToks out of them. First up is the only book that I don't have in physical form because I actually got rid of the bind up that I had of it, and that is the Luck series by Jennifer Armentrout. When I read this, I was old enough to have watched the original show Roswell, but I swear to God, she just copied the entire plot from. It is about a girl who moves to a small town, and what do you know, she falls in love with an alien who is also like a twin. This is just the funniest book. It goes for maybe 5 books, I want to say, and I think there could possibly be a spin-off, but definitely the Luck series. Like, whenever I think of peak BookTube back then, everyone was reading the Luck series. That was the book to be reading. Throw out some of my favorites that I have cherished forever, with the third book being my absolute favorite book. I'm not even kidding, it's been years. I first read this book 7 years ago and I still think about it at least 4 times a week. That's underplaying. I think about it every day. Anna and the French Kiss, Lola and the Boy Next Door, Pièce de Résistance, Isla and the Happily Ever After, all by Stephanie Perkins. Set in a French school in Paris. And it's a girl named Anna. She's come from the States and she is going to be attending the school. She falls in love with this guy who has a girlfriend. It's a fucking mess. This one is a little bit of a spoiler for the first book. It's set in San Francisco, but it is about a girl named Lola who has been into the guy next door. Something happened, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But then this one, Isla and the Happily Ever After, the best book in the history of all books. If you've ever had a crush on someone, a painful, disgusting teenage crush that consumes you and kills you, and then you finally get to hook up with them, you'll relate to this book. These are just the cutest contemporary little romances that are total gateway drugs for everything else in the world of BookTube. I definitely think that they are a quintessential memory for me, and I think that TikTok needs to bring them back. This is what got me into books that look like they should be aimed at teenagers, but are definitely not teenage in any sort of respect, and that is Paper Princess by Erin Watt. The book is 6 years old, and still to this day I compare books in this sort of genre of rich kid, poor girl, bully romance, all of that stuff. This is the top tier. This is the top of the pyramid. This is prime real estate. Everything's getting compared to Paper Princess by Erin Watt. So if you didn't know, Erin Watt is Jen Bennett and Elle Kennedy of The Score and all of the Off-Campus and Briar U series. This is her. The Royal series, the first ones center on Reed, and then there's one of Easton and another character. There are a couple of little published novellas, a couple of the other brothers. There's 5 brothers altogether. So we've got Gideon, he's the oldest, he's out of the house, nobody cares about him. Then we've got Reed, Easton, and then twins Sebastian and Sawyer. I need a book on them because they were the original sharing twin brothers, if you know what I mean. And just still crickets to this day. It's give us the fucking book, please. Sweet Evil by Wendy Higgins. I've got the whole trilogy behind me. This is honestly where I feel weirdly named characters came from. The main character's name in this is Kaiden, and they make a point of being it's pronounced Kai-den. About Anna. Anna is the typical good girl, Southern belle. She is just wonderful and beautiful and fantastic in everything that she does. Then she comes across Kaiden Rowe, who is a hit it, quit it sort of guy. The problem is they're all wrapped up into some paranormal shit. Kaiden and a couple of his friends, they are all the children of deadly sins, and Anna is something else. I won't say anything because it is quite a spoiler for the entire book series. But yeah, this series is truly wild, and it's just one of those books that I always think of everyone had on their shelves. And this is hitting the Wayback Machine, but it is Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. If you've been around here for a while, you'll know that I got some serious fucking beef with the spin-off series of this. Vampire Academy was like it. It was the original sort of teacher-student, well, you know, he's not really her teacher, but she was 17 and he was like 24. So this is about Rose Hathaway. This is the movie tie-in cover because I got the box set and they're all out there. I'm not bringing the whole thing in. Rose is a guardian for Lissa. Lissa is a princess vampire Moroi, feed off people, and Rose is like a half vampire, so she's super strong. They go to this school that Rose calls Vampire Academy. It's called St. Vladimir's. It is a 6-book series with some crazy shit, amazing writing. I always think of Rose when I think of like kick butt female characters. Her relationship with Lissa is absolutely incredible. They are just friendship goals. So Vampire Academy is one that I would see everywhere on Booktube back in the day and want to see it on BookTok because I think that we could get some really cool aesthetics on that. Broken Stars by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. I fucking love this book. Every time I've reread this book, which has been a couple of times, I've always given it 5 stars. It is a story of Lilac and Tava. So Lilac, her father basically owns the entire universe. It's been described as Titanic in space, and that is completely accurate. Tava is a soldier who has been involved in an incident that has occurred on one of Lilac LaRue's father's planets. Invited on this ship, something happens with the ship, they crash land on a planet and they're the only 2 survivors. This is a lot different than I think a lot of people expected it to be. It's really sci-fi leaning with some sort of paranormal elements. Trilogy does follow different couples throughout, kind of like with the Illuminae files, Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman did. It's kind of in that vein of there are different couples throughout the books and then it all kind of wraps up together in the 3rd book. They have the prettiest covers of all time. I'm gonna put the other 2 on the screen here. I just think that these are amazing books. I gave every single book 5 stars. The audiobooks are really atmospheric as well. I would definitely recommend those if you can get your hands on them through like Libby or Overdrive or something like that. A book series that's probably pretty problematic, but I think it could also open up a really interesting discussion, and that is Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. This is the story of Tally. Tally lives in a society where you are just deemed ugly until you go through this operation and you become a pretty. So when you're a pretty, you can just like party all day and you really just enjoy your life and it's amazing. This is very sci-fi as well. Definitely when YA sort of had that chokehold dystopian on everyone, but I just remember seeing this on like everyone's shelves. Uglies is definitely a quintessential Booktube oldie that I think TikTok needs to romanticize and probably will. Winner's Curse by Marie Rakowski. Kestrel is definitely more sort of military minded because of her father. She gets into an incident where she comes across a slave being sold named Aaron, and she buys Aaron, and Aaron might have some sort of nefarious intentions. The next series that I definitely saw everywhere back in the day was the Caster Chronicles by Cammy, Garcia and Margaret Stoll. So this one is about Lena Duquesne, that's how they say her name in the audiobooks and in the movie, and Ethan. So Ethan keeps having these dreams about a girl and they are experiencing something called kelting. So in the lead up to Lena's birthday, you can become a light or a dark caster, and Lena has to decide which side of her family she's sort of on. Things to do with the past, almost like a time travel, historical sort of element as the series goes on. I would definitely recommend the audiobooks. I think that they're absolutely fabulous. There is a song that you read throughout the book, but it plays in the audiobook. Last but definitely not least, we have Ruby Red by Kirsten Gier. So this one's translated from German. I have read most of Kirsten Gier's books that have been translated and I've loved every single one of them. This is a really good recommendation if you know a younger reader who wants to sort of get into romance but they need something clean. There isn't anything more than kissing in this entire trilogy, just as a little spoiler alert. Story of Gwen. She comes from a family that has this ability to travel through time. The gene in the family, and she thinks that it's going to her cousin, but surprise, it's not. It's going to Gwen, and she had not been prepared for that at all. Her cousin was basically primed and ready to sort of take the spot of the Ruby. There is this special device that they use that helps them travel through times. It's a controlled jump. Usually they have to time jump every single day, otherwise they just uncontrollably time jump. There was an incident very many years ago where one of the devices was stolen. If you want to see a part 2 of this video, I can definitely do it. I've got so many in my head that I keep thinking of and I'm just like, oh my gosh, where did that book go? Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you're having a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Lots of love, hugs and kisses. Mwah! Bye.